Hi there, Star Wars collectors, and welcome to another Bossk's Bounty video. And in this video, I'm going to be going over all of the vintage collection reveals from the I Am Your Father's Day Hasbro Pulse live stream. As always, I'll be offering you my thoughts as we take a look at the high-res images and also let you know the all-important pre-order information. There are a few other tidbits of info regarding deluxe figures and stock from the previous May the 4th livestream, which I will briefly talk about towards the end of the video. So if you happen to enjoy the video, hit the like button down below, subscribe if you are new, and let's get into this. Oh, actually, just very quickly, if you haven't seen already, I am doing an awesome giveaway. So please make sure that after this video, you go back and watch my Ask Bossk Bounty video from last weekend for details. I will put a link in the description below so you can check that out. Alright, so I'm not going to be going in the same order as the live stream. Instead, I'm going to go straight into talking about the Darth Vader's TIE Advanced. If you have followed my channel for any amount of time, you will know that this was my most wanted vehicle to be brought into the vintage collection, especially if we're talking about vehicles from the OT. Now, I believe the last time they updated the sculpt for the Vader TIE was way back in the Power of the Force 2 line, and for me it was one that I always hoped that they would update if ever they decided to make it in the vintage collection, and for me it doesn't disappoint at all. So a lot to talk about, from the ship to the packaging and of course the figure packing too, so I will start with the ship itself. Now, Darth Vader's TIE Fighter from the original Kenner line is something that I did own as a kid, and it's something I have very fond memories of, so I am pleased to say that I do feel that they have done it justice with this release. It seems to be an all new sculpt, has lots of great details on all sides of the ship, so the underneath even has some nice sculpting work on there as well. Albeit it does seem to be missing some weathering. Now, for me, this seems to be a common theme these days with the vintage collection vehicles. If we look back to the Imperial hover tank, that had some amazing weathering going on, and they seem to be missing those paint applications as we sort of go on throughout the line. The E-Wing being a great example, and now Darth Vader's TIE Fighter also seems to be lacking in paint applications. Of course, we do have to wait until we get the final model, but the model that they had on show did seem to be missing paint applications. However, the sculpting work of the ship itself looks great, and Chris the designer spoke of having some new references from Lucasfilm which enabled them to get some of the finer details and accuracy to the source material. He mentioned some Aurebesh writing on the cockpit hatch, which if you decide to try and translate will give you some interesting details about when the ship was made, who it was made by, all that kind of sort of geeky detail that we like to get into. And I'm glad that they have got rid of the firing missiles, albeit the one that they had on show had sort of like yellow paint applications on the tips of those missiles, whereas if you look at the press images that we have here, they seem to be red. So it will be interesting to see what the final version of this ship has. I'm also glad that they seem to have got rid of the spring-loaded wings, which were always an issue with all of Hasbro's TIE fighters. Of course, Vader's TIE doesn't explode on screen, so we kind of don't need that. However, his wing does get clipped from one of the TIE fighters flanking him, so I was actually quite surprised when they revealed the interchangeable part of the wing, enabling you to swap it out for a battle damaged version. I thought this was a pretty cool thing to include and was totally unexpected from my point of view. Chris also talked about the texture of the wings being something that they referenced again from information that they have from Lucasfilm. So it does feel that a lot of attention to detail has gone into this, which of course you would expect because this is the vintage collection, right? We expect lots of detail and accuracy to the source material. What I did think was cool was that Chris did say that the TVC version is almost exactly the same size as the prop that they used to make the movie, which is pretty cool. I've always seen sort of documentaries and things like that on the making of Star Wars, and you often see these props with the background and how they filmed it and all that kind of thing, and to have something that sort of mimics that is pretty cool to me. One thing I do feel is missing though is a flight stand for the ship. I feel that really added something to the N1 Starfighter, so it is a shame that we haven't got one with the Darth Vader's TIE Advanced. Moving on to the packed in Darth Vader, a little bit disappointing that they did not address the glossy shoulders, which should be more of a matte finish considering they are supposed to be like tabards made of material hanging over his shoulders, so that was a bit of a bummer. But Emily did mention that Vader fits into the tie with or without his cloak, but for screen accuracy you might want to remove it completely because, as I say, that's how he looked in the film. As for the card back, wow, what a fantastic image that they've chosen there. I really do like that image of Darth Vader. It's going to look great in the collection alongside all of the other Darth Vaders that we have in the line, especially if you're a carded collector, of course. And also making the name pill and panel that sort of purple colour which matches the box from the original Kenner release. Again, some real thought went into it, which I do appreciate. But this one being unpunched is definitely one to keep carded, especially as the figure is the same as the figure released in the main line. I see no real reason to open this one at all. Speaking of the box, I think they've done a fantastic job of recreating the Kenner feels with this one, even with that floating Darth Vader helmet on the graphics. Again, attention to detail and a nod to the Kenner line, which, let's face it, is what the TVC packaging is all about. So all in all, very, very happy with the Darth Vader's tie advanced. Pre-orders for this one are up on the 16th of June at 1 PM EST, which is 5 PM British summertime, and unfortunately guys, will only be available via Hasbro Pulse, which is a bit of a shame that it is a Pulse exclusive. Next up, we have the Snowtrooper 4-pack, so not really too much to say really, as we all knew this was coming after someone listed some on eBay about a month or so ago. My friends at Bantha Skull even managed to buy one and have a review already up on their website. Essentially, this is what an army builder pack should be all about. 4 of the same figure with a few extra weapons, enabling you to create an army. That is the point. And in my previous video, I ranked the Snowtrooper as the best TVC figure so far this year, in my opinion. So for there to be an easy way to get 4 of them is great. As always, these will be packed into one of those white boxes with the simple graphics. And again, this will be available for pre-order on the 16th of June at 1 PM EST, 5 PM British summertime, and once again is a Pulse exclusive. So that's the reveals, and in other news, they did address the issues around the low stock of the reveals from the May the 4th live stream. So both the Trooper 3-pack and the Cantina set will have more stock added to Hasbro Pulse on the 16th of June at 1 PM EST. How much more stock remains to be seen, so I advise you to be quick to avoid even more disappointment. They also addressed the deluxe card issue, but in my opinion kind of missed the whole point of this. Yes, we don't want the deluxe figures on oversized cards, but we also don't want to be paying deluxe prices for something that isn't deluxe. So I would much prefer them to go back to those boxes with larger accessories such as the E-Web cannon. Maybe they could do one with a moisture evaporator, that kind of thing. And to use the Gamorrean Guard as an example was very awkward in my opinion, as this figure has been released twice already in the vintage collection at a regular price. So without new tooling costs, etc., I'm not really too sure what makes this figure deluxe. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on the matter. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below about that. So there you go then guys, just 2 reveals from the live stream today. I Am Your Father's Day live stream, as I say, pre-orders on the 16th of June, 1 PM EST, 5 PM British summer time. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to watch Ask Bossk Bounty from the weekend about the giveaway. Thank you to my Patreon supporters and channel members as always for your extra support. It really is appreciated. Thanks for watching everybody, and we shall see you on the next one.